you have the agenda in front of you, you can just see the order for this evening. Michael, I'm on our subscription here. How do I get to the live feed from here? Okay, right there. Ah, there we go. Okay. Oh, it's a bit of a delay. Yeah. Okay. Well, if you are joining us online for our AGM, that's great. It's a bit of a last-minute thing. So welcome to those remote, and for those of you who've taken the time to come out here and join us live. Let's pray, and then we'll just talk about what the meeting is going to look like as we go through the evening. Heavenly Father, we're grateful to you for this opportunity to serve you as a worshiping community here in Three Hills. Thank you for the efforts and the time that so many put into the ministry of St. Barnabas. And I pray that as we meet this evening to look ahead to the coming year, that we would be guided by your wisdom, that in the decisions we make, they would be honoring to you and a way of serving our congregation and our wider community well. So we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. So you can see from the agenda that the AGM is mostly about putting the officers in place that make up, we call it, I mean, there are names that are used interchangeably, parish council or vestry, vestry simply being the place where, in the church, where a parish council meets. And then there's actually something technical called the parish corporation, which is the legal entity of officers that hold the financial responsibility for the church. And in small congregations, parish council and parish corporation are usually one and the same. In the canons, they make allowance for it that the parish corporation is sort of the concentrated subset of a parish council, which can have more officers and more people, departments and everything like that administer maybe a larger program. We're so small, we don't differentiate between the two. And virtually even our parish council meetings can be kind of glorified congregational meetings. So we don't really stand on technical details that much. But, so we're here to put together the parish council with corporation members and affirm that the legal entity that the government would see. And then we want to talk about the most sort of tangible expression of what our mission and policy is, and that's the way we spend our money. It's the way we use our resources. You know, where your treasure is, there is your heart also, being that litmus test. A special thanks ahead of time to Natalie, stepping in mid-year, taking over and preparing the budget for us this evening. So the credit for that, when we get to it, goes about 98, maybe 99% to her, and then 1% to some of the rest of us. So thank you in advance, Natalie. As you look at the agenda there, and I did ask for any additions. Vernon asked for a spot to talk about prayer beyond Sunday, so you see that there. But if we are fine to proceed as is.
James?
Yep.
Two things representing other people here. know we're meeting to discuss them tonight, but I'd like to discuss them at some meeting in the next couple of days. One is, Chris is concerned because there's really no place to take children where you can bring service. Children who are enthusiastic about responding to the meetings and things. The other thing is, we should probably discuss this tonight. Do we want an Easter Vigil service? If we don't get to that, I'll just send an email.
I think Megan was very, on that.
Yeah, she said she's willing to spearhead it if people want to.
Anyway, that's, maybe getting
Yeah.
into the-
Let's get through our listed agenda and then see what our time is like and what our energy is like when we get there. It's good to start out, I've done this the past couple of years now, just with a brief time of Thanksgiving for the year past. I think it sets a good tone for our meeting. And I don't mind starting us off. You know, in spite of all the ups and downs and back and forths that COVID has sort of, played with our congregation among others. I'm grateful that it hasn't been a huge point of division in our congregation. I hear stories in the ministerial of some of the larger churches where that really, it maybe hasn't come up in outright words, but it's something that has always sort of been the elephant in the room in many cases. I'm so appreciative and thankful that we didn't have to grapple with that. And that's a credit to you folks. So I'm thankful for that. Anybody else want to jump in with something?
That's what I would have said.
Ditto.
I'm thankful that the Lord has caused COVID not to hit our congregation in a terrible way. People have become ill.
Yeah.
But it's been pretty amazing. Relatively.
I'm thankful that the congregation is still there. We had 26 or 27 on Sunday. That's really amazing. That's really wonderful.
Even if we're allowed up to 50. That's 50% there, isn't it?
Yes. Grateful we finally got our fire code rating just as we're coming out the end of the
Didn't have it
restrictions.
before. I'm grateful to our bishop for allowing us a little bit of leeway space to continue to have some kind of connection point, even if it didn't always include Eucharist, but allowance for meeting for prayer, even through the weeks of greater concern. And as we're going to see, I'm just again grateful and humbled by the generosity of our congregation. Maybe those points of gratitude also could be sort of kind of a report from the priest in charge. I didn't write up any kind of State of the Union address or anything like that. But again, grateful for the participation of people who commit to, whether it's Nicole and Douglas putting the calendar together, keeping our prayer calendar up to date, our musicians, Michael doing envelope secretary, tech stuff. All of you who find a way to contribute to and give of your time. It really, I don't want to say, makes my job easier, but it does. And it just makes my ministry here that much more enjoyable, knowing that I'm working with great people. So thank you. And as we come into this next year, I think one of the things that St. Barnabas has been privileged to do is send people out into ministry, sometimes reluctantly, but we have been a place of equipping and sending and identifying calling. And that shows every sign of continuing with Megan pursuing continuing her discernment process through the Diocese of Calgary now into the diaconate, and David Smith to ordain priestly ministry to see what that looks like. And so we've had the initial conversations with Bishop Gray and now his executive archdeacon, Pilar Gateman, who has sort of mapped out what the rest of that process is going to look like. So among the many things that people here at St. Barnabas are involved with, that's one continuing, and it's just, again, it's very special to see that happening here. Any last minute thank yous? All right. We need a motion to approve the minutes from our last AGM then, as they have been circulated and put together by Nicole. The question is a motion to approve the minutes. So I'm waiting for somebody to make a motion. Well, we're going to be stuck here then.
I'm just trying to catch up.
They're all motion.
You will motion that? Okay. A seconder, just to get this going. Thank you, Vern. All those in favor of accepting the minutes as recorded. Thank you. We're off to a somewhat sluggish start here this evening. Vernon.
Did we approve the agenda? I don't think we did.
Okay, that's right. So let's do that at this point. A motion to approve the agenda as has been.
I move we approve the agenda.
Thank you. Seconder? All right. Your names don't go in the minutes, it's just MSC, so you're okay. All those in favor? All right. Good. Thank you. Thank you for keeping us on the straight and narrow. There you go. Can we proceed with point number 4 then? Vernon.
Okay, I'm not actually making a proposal yet. It's been some years since we gathered during the week for prayer. And frankly, I miss that. And that's more than just a sentimental thing for me. I feel personally that was a really essential part of my relationship with the congregation and my own spiritual development. As I said, I'm not making a motion at this point to reinstate the midweek prayer service. I would just want to start a conversation that may place of prayer in the St. Barnabas community. And I call this prayer beyond Sunday. We do have prayers of the people on Sunday, and that's part of the liturgy, and that's a good thing, but it's very possible to see that as something that we kind of tick off the list. We've done that this week, and so how does prayer within the community, what is the significance and importance of that? Is it important to us? And what would a relationship of praying for one another, where we perhaps see each other face to face rather than the back of each other's head, what would that look like? Or what could that look like? So anyway, I just throw that out, and hopefully we can get some kind of a conversation here that might shape how we're thinking.
Yeah, thanks, Erwin. I think we're all sort of hoping that, come March 1, we'll sort of be like a train coming out of a long tunnel.
Yeah, and I understand that. And I know that COVID has exerted some fairly strong, some fairly significant restrictions on what we can do. But I think this goes back earlier than just the COVID
Yeah.
thing.
No, let's do that. I appreciate you bringing that up. Thanks. Let's move to our election or approval of parish officers. Veronica's feeling the pressure of meeting her publication deadlines with the Centennial book, so she begged off for this evening. But I wanted to for sure make a public thank you to her for just her faithful service in the years that she has been the People's Warden. Glad that at this point, before you can quickly say no or think twice about it, Doug Johnson's let his name stand to take on those responsibilities such as they are. So you see the list in front of you. Vernon, we had a conversation earlier where I asked you about readiness to, or willingness to continue, or how you were feeling about that with your energy levels, and you said you were still feeling okay in the harness. So Natalie, I'm assuming that I've seen no letter of resignation yet, so I'm glad.
Not allowed.
I'm glad for that. I left the envelope secretary blank. Michael, you've been doing it the last year. I didn't know with the change in your work status if you were going to rethink that. I didn't just want to assume. So I thought I would leave it up to you tonight to give us an affirmation or one way or t'other.
I'm not sure. Like I definitely wouldn't be able to be here every Sunday, so I don't know if that's okay to have someone step in once in a while, or would you just appoint someone else, or what?
I know that Douglas has done it on occasion when you haven't been here. Would we be willing to sort of go on that ad hoc kind of basis?
The pressure is intense.
Oh my.
I'm fine filling in when Michael's not here.
Okay.
Except, by the way, you have to be here throughout March because I'm out. So you just have to turn those jobs down.
Well.
So we might need someone to just
I think we can probably muddle through, but if
Sure.
you're willing to, Christopher did our lay Senate representative in the year when we didn't have Senate. So I'm gonna assume he's maybe willing to let his name stand.
I would imagine, although he
Yeah.
probably can't commit until there's an actual
It-
date and time.
Yeah. But if we put him as the primary delegate, I think that will be, and then we can figure out an alternative if we need that. I am willing to entertain a motion then to have that slate of wardens and officers approved rather than having a set of individual motions. I think because these are by acclamation.
Also,
Okay. A seconder back there. Do we want discussion on this? Okay, then the question, all in favor? All right. Thank you. Thank you all. I think I might, if you're okay with it, and then we may put this in retroactively, I may approach David Smith about being an alternate, a Senate alternate. Okay. Do that. All right, this brings us to our budget for the year. Natalie, why don't you walk us through that? And then we'll come forward with a motion to accept it as you propose it.
I was gonna start just with giving an account of the balances in our church accounts for year end. So our operating account has $23,469.34. The refugee fund has $11,248.83. We also have the GIC for $25,326.94. And our building fund has $9,300 in it. So on the income statement from last year, which is the second page, there was just a few things that I wanted to point out. The big one is clear at the bottom there, where it has our net income, it's $15,906.83. So that's our surplus from what the offering was, less our expenses. So that's what we're going to be discussing in the next section.
I'm lost.
Yeah,
I don't see a page 2.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
this is
Oh.
the same.
Is there, do we have the same thing we
You
had?
don't
That's
have
the
it.
question.
I have some.
Did I not get all the pages printed off?
Well,
It was a second
the
tab.
second page
Oh.
just has 2 lines at the top.
I didn't print off all the tabs.
That's why I was like, duh.
I'm sorry, thank you.
Thank you.
So this makes more sense.
Oh, wow.
That's good. I'm
That's
sorry,
all.
Natalie,
Thank
thank you, thank you.
Oh yeah, I gotta jump and play.
Michael.
Sorry, Natalie, you might have to repeat everything you just said.
So second page, where it says income statement at the top, ignore the fact that it says 2020, this is for 2021. And then clear at the bottom of the page, there's a net income line that says $15,906. Right. That's our surplus for the year, which is really amazing.
Yeah.
may I just mention here, James and I go back a long way, and we can both remember long struggles over expenses and income back in the 80s, 90s. the early 2000s, really didn't see how we were gonna be able to afford a priest any longer. Wow, we can afford a priest.
Now you can catch up on all that sleep you lost.
This is amazing.
Yeah. And then a couple of lines that I wanted to point out where we were over budget. The one for computer and internet expense. So that was obviously upgrading the things that we have for live streaming, and also starting to pay for Wi-Fi, which I believe was not something that we did in the past. And then down closer to the bottom, there's the charitable contributions. So the actual was $77.50, and what was budgeted was $38.50. So the $38.50 is our quarterly commitments that we've made to like Raybaugh, Stefan, and Caitlin Dick, and there's a couple others. But last year there was also a surplus, and so one-time gifts were made. So that's the difference there, which will happen again this coming year. Is there any questions on the income statement page? Hearing none, I'll continue talking. So now I'm going to start in on the first page, which is the budget for 2022. So up at the top, we are budgeting for giving being $42,420, which last year our actual giving was about $51,000, so that's still pretty conservative. So I think we feel good about that. And then just a couple of lines on this. We are increasing the budget for computer and internet expenses because we will continue to have Wi-Fi costs this year. And I think James was saying there was a promotional rate that we got, and that will be expiring this year. So there is that. And also we are increasing the honorarium line from $13,760 to $15,240. So the proposal for that is to increase slightly what we pay in honorarium for sermons, readers, music, treasurer, and then to add in paying the secretary per meeting and paying the person who's doing the calendar for calendar month. So a slight increase there. Is there anything that's jumping out that people have questions on the budget?
That's interesting, utilities went down.
Enjoyable way we had it.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
It's kind of an arbitrary number because we don't know. But it was about the same as we budgeted for last year, so we just kept it the same.
Okay, interesting.
Why the decrease to property, building and property security?
So last year, in that line, we had the fire code inspection, and that was like the bulk of that budget.
Yeah.
So we decreased it slightly. As well. I'll do that again.
So compared to, again, the giving that was there, it is a fairly conservative budget, but we didn't want to rush out and assume this was suddenly going to be the new normal. And so we're taking a little more cautious approach to operations, but it does give us an opportunity to do some interesting ministry things. And also look at funding one or two capital projects that were already kind of in the works, but we didn't get to last year. So, and keeping the 3 months operational budget, or monthly operational expenses in reserve, and then being able to have that refugee fund money ready for such a time as when Azusa family hopefully gets cleared. So it's, we can't hold too much of it in our savings accounts. Otherwise, the government gets a little concerned that we're acting more like a for-profit than a not-for-profit.
Is the account though one where you can actually accrue interest, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know if
See
there's
all
any
the
bank
interest
account that
listed
does
on
that these days.
Our operating account is not, it's a checking account, it doesn't earn interest.
Okay.
The GIC that
It's a
the church
GIC.
has does earn interest.
And that's our refugee.
Right,
homes and that
right.
GIC.
Yeah,
Okay.
most of it. There's also the refugee fund, which is a
Yes,
separate
yes,
account.
which is extra.
Oh, okay.
So from what you were saying a moment ago, James, does this mean that as opportunities come up, we can draw on the funds that are there to do things in addition to what we budgeted for?
Well, part of it is that if you see the later motion on 6.3, that's a proposal to actually use or disperse some of that extra money in, and like I say, it comes rather than last year when we kind of got nicely surprised on that at the annual general meeting, and we didn't have a ready response to, well, what should we do with this money? And then we talked about it, and we had
I see.
and so I thought, well, we set a precedent last year, why don't we come with a slate of possibilities right at the meeting itself that at least we can discuss, rather than having to pass a motion after the fact.
Okay, so what we've got here is $1,500 budgeted for each of the parties on our.
We basically took that 15K and said half of it, let's use it for capital projects, and half of it, let's do some ministry investment.
How much is in our building fund right now? Like maybe some.
9,300 at
So-
the end of the year.
And then hopefully plus.
So we're proposing to add 7,500 to that.
Because I know part of the delay was Cal looking around,
Mhm.
shopping around, and potentially finding a cheaper option. But if we didn't need that cheaper option, it probably would have been done by now. The shopping around might not have had to happen.
Well, what he thought Floridan's offer was pretty high.
Was it?
Yeah, I mean, I looked at it again, and it was, do you recall how much?
It was around 15,000.
Yeah, it seemed really pricey for the relatively small space. So what he was gonna do was put an offer, because he was working independently on it, or for himself at the time, put an offer on it for him just to do the job. And then he started, before that went through, he started working with Cornerstone. So and I need to get back to him, because he said, well, maybe Cornerstone could put in an offer on it as well. Because I think we should be able to beat that one in Florida. That just seemed really high.
Hi, Daddy.
It's for new flooring, for the sanctuary. No, the whole flooring, everything. Yeah. So that's, we had it in the works already last year, and then it got delayed. But but we thought this might be a good way of topping up that fund. The vestry and downstairs were done a number of years ago. So, welcome here, Christopher.
Thank you. See you later.
In case you didn't know, you're the Assembly representative again.
Oh, yeah. Anybody else want to do it? If anybody else had wanted to do it. So we can just make a motion to accept the budget as proposed.
That's the motion. That's the motion 6.1.
So that's the motion on the floor.
That's the motion on the floor.
Does it need a second?
No, it comes as a seconded motion. So do we have any further questions? We're just approving the operations budget, not the use of the surplus. Are we ready for that? Okay, all in favor? All right, so passed, so moved and so passed. One of the things that we wanted for an efficiency purpose is bringing this one account, is it our building fund account? Into the same family of accounts that we currently have in operations, etc., so that it just makes the moving money and signing authorities a little less clunky. But the bank will need to see a motion for that to happen.
Where are they now?
They are, so if, with Service Credit Union, they're separate memberships, and one is called Vestry of St. Barnabas, and one is called, I think, St. Barnabas Building Fund or something. So when I was added on as signer, we signed 2 packets of paperwork, and one, yeah, and
Didn't know why we.
so on online banking, they're not the same. Like, I can't move money from the operating account into the building fund account. So the only way we can do that is either we can write a check and then 2 of us can sign it and then I go put it in the night deposit, or 2 of us have to go to the bank at the same time to sign a slip for them to do that. But the ownership is the same, being that it's the church, and the signing authorities are the same, being it's the 3 of us. So I don't know why it was set up that way, unless there's some like accounting reason that it should have been set up that way, but it seems very odd to me, and it would be,
better way.
it would be much more efficient if we just closed out the building fund and opened up a savings account under the vestry.
Yes. We call it the building savings account under the vestry.
You can call it exactly the same thing that it's currently called.
That makes sense.
So are you moving that?
I'm moving that.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, we need to make sure that this is drafted carefully, because the bank is going to want to see this.
What do we need to say
So
exactly?
Okay.
Just take this over. So we need to say that we're closing the St. Barnabas Building Fund membership and opening an account under St. Barnabas Vestry for the building funds.
That would be under the property then, right? On here?
No, on there, that's an expense line. So this would be that the bank account balances aren't showing on the budget.
Okay.
It'll be a bank account. But there is an expense line on there for capital fund, which is $2,400. So those funds will go into that account at some time during this year, if we don't need them for repairs or something.
Clear?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess my thinking is with the building fund, I mean, you're gonna have to get all the proper bylaws fixed up. I mean, I don't know how you would expand, except you expand on your vestry part right there.
Well, building is just that fund is, money's designated for any major improvements we
Yeah.
wanna do on the property.
Not adding on to it.
Not adding on.
Well, this is
No, no,
it.
no, but it's just the building as in the edifice.
Yeah, like
So-
the flooring you're talking about.
Exactly,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
for those sorts of things.
Yeah,
But it's just making that bank account a little bit more user-friendly for
Yeah.
our treasurer and our signing authorities.
yeah. Got it.
Okay. Do you want to read the motion back to us?
We motion to close the St. Barnabas Building Fund membership and open an account under St. Barnabas F Street for Building Fund.
All right.
Yeah, I'd like one correction.
Mhm.
Motion's actually now, the verb is moved.
Mhm.
So,
Yes.
All right.
And then it was first by Natalie and second by Douglas?
Yes.
You'd have to have that for legal, wouldn't you?
It's just MSC, move second carried by the collective
Okay.
AGM.
Did we vote?
No, we're calling for the question. All in favor? Good, it's anonymous. Oh, okay. So that brings us to 6.3, and it's, you know, I put it as a motion, it's just a proposal based on what we did last year, and with a couple of additions that were brought to attention through Martha with Power Ministries, the Voice of the Martyrs. They work with Voice of the Martyrs Canada, Ontario, and they are a media ministry of radio broadcasts and podcasts to Afghanistan.
I think it might be Owen.
Is it? Boy,
I'm pretty sure.
Power Ministries, VOM Canada.
Okay.
That's Voice of the Martyrs, I'm pretty sure, isn't it?
I
Yeah,
think
it is.
so. I just
Yeah.
thought we looked it up before and it was OM, but.
Okay, maybe they just lost the V somewhere.
Sure.
We did support a ministry in Myanmar. And I think I was asking you about, did we got a receipt for some kind of acknowledgement from OM, but I don't think we ever heard anything back from him. And that was kind of disappointing.
I thought he sent an email. Let me check. Keep talking.
Okay.
Let me check.
All right. Stefan and Caitlin, we are ongoing with them, and it's neat to see the way their work is developing. Irene Carter and Paths Ministry, the interventions that they're doing with mostly battered and threatened women, but also some spouses who are men. Phil and Tammy Peters Open Schools worldwide, working with street kids in countries in South Africa, Southern Africa. Power Ministries, Martha has talked to us about, and a recommendation to do something that might again be a little closer to home, that might encourage some ongoing perhaps partnership, or they're close by. I've heard good things about what Olds is doing in the center there, and it's only a 45-minute drive away, and I'm sure any invitation for their director to come and share with us would be, I think they would really welcome something like that. But it seems to me that that's a really neat kind of local ministry that we might be able to invest in and just, again, cultivate perhaps an ongoing ministry relationship with.
Yeah, so I did find an email, September 21st, thanking us. He shared a little bit of information about their food distribution and sent photos. They provided care packages for 17 villages all over Myanmar to 637 families so far. This was in September. Some for 1 week, others for 2 weeks. And if you want to see pictures, I have 20 of them.
Okay, well, I spoke too hastily then, so that's encouraging.
Yeah. I had wondered, I don't know spend, but I wondered about supporting the Ewart children or the Ibbotson children and the Ibbotson children. I know for sure that there's a scholarship set up for Ibbotsons, don't know about Ewarts, but they're college age, so.
I think the Ibbotsons particularly, they really do need help. Steve was never able to get insurance because of his condition.
Oh my, okay.
Well.
Well, with Martha assuring us that this time at least the power ministry seemed to be fairly well set, would we want to redesignate some of that money?
Would we have a different name for it? Because, I mean, you just mentioned Ewarts and Ibbetsons, and I don't know if there's anybody else in need, you know what I'm saying, at large here in town, as far as children who are bereaving their parents.
Those are two that I know of.
Yeah.
Bound to be others.
Do you want to make a?
I would make a motion, I would move
Mhm.
to redesignate this 1,500 to the Ibbotson family, I don't know, scholarship fund that's set up through GoFundMe.
I'm getting nods. Okay.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
I'll second.
She motioned it.
Or again, do we want to move collectively or piecemeal on the disbursement of these funds?
I'm ready to, sorry, we're trying to move on, but I'm ready to move collectively, rather than go through each one.
Yeah.
I don't think we have any questions, but
Are we happy with,
deciding.
satisfied with that? Okay. So we have why don't you just, do you want to make, now with the, let's start over here. Do you want to just make that a collective motion
Sure.
with the Ibbotson family as the one, receiving the 1.5K?
Sure.
Okay,
I move all of these designations.
okay. All in favor? All right, so moved. Then I just thought it would be good to have as a separate motion the other disbursement into the building fund.
Does that need to be moved?
Yeah, that needs, these are just suggested motions, they actually need to, they don't come as motions, they just need to be, they need somebody to activate them.
I will activate that.
Okay. A seconder on that? Do we want any discussion on this? We're ready for the question there? All right, all in favor? 6.5 doesn't actually need a motion because that was a motion, I believe, from our last quarterly meeting as to what we were going to designate that Christmas offering for, so that we would be redundant. It's maybe just more of an FYI. I think it came out to 1,495, so I just made it an even 1,500. To know that that's, again, what the congregation gave towards supporting the Azazula family. This doesn't go to the refugee fund. This is to help them out right now while they are waiting. Now, it gets a little complicated getting how we get these funds to them. I was hoping Martha could be here to explain the maze way here. we have to convert them into US dollars, which I,
It's 1,200 US.
1,200 US, okay. Do we have that, or do I need to do
I
that?
have it currently.
You have? All right. That money, that cash would then go to Javed, who is the contact. He lives in Airdrie, who's the contact to the Azazula family. And I think they use do they use a wire service?
It's not a wire service. That would be a lot more straightforward than what this. Because they don't have like a bank account. So we
Yeah.
can't wire it from our account to their account. So it's not PayPal, but it's similar to PayPal in that it's an electronic transfer of funds across the border. I don't know specifically how this works or how our 1,200 US cash gets to this person and then to those people. I guess we're taking that in faith.
That's, yeah. But these are people that Martha has been in touch with, has dealings with, and would vouch for their character because they have dealt with in good faith with us in the past. But it's just the nature of the beast in trying to get money to needy people who they themselves cannot afford bank accounts or that kind of infrastructure support. So it's kind of crude and it looks sort of high risk, and how do we, so I wanted Martha here to sort of explain this and make sure it was in the minutes so that there was transparency, even if it is a little bit highly, unusual. This is just dealing with an unusual circumstance. Maybe what Martha asked me to ask about here is initially she was going to have Sarah go with her to take the money and deliver it to Javed in Airdrie. She doesn't feel comfortable going on her own, and I can fully understand that. Sarah has come down sick and can't make the trip with her. So she's looking for a traveling companion, maybe a driver. Her vehicle is, she doesn't mind doing short stuff with it, but taking it on the highway is maybe something she's less comfortable with. Who might be able to give time to drive with her and be the courier. And so I said I would just put it out here to see if there was anybody who could do it or who would know of somebody who might be able to contact. So that's what I'm doing.
And that's to where?
Airdrie.
Airdrie. I'll run that by June,
Okay.
because she and Martha, I think they would be able to do that together, but I don't want to make any commitment
Okay.
for June. And she can talk to Martha, knows the ins and outs of this already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. So can we leave that with you then for now?
I will ask her about that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Brennan. So that's more of an FYI as opposed to a motion.
And this is a Christmas gift
That's right.
from,
St. Barnabas.
yeah, this is from what we received this past Christmas.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. Shifting then to capital projects for the coming year, this would be a kind of a renewal of one that was already approved, which is for flooring here in the sanctuary. I don't know how specific we want to make the motion in terms of who we approach for shopping around for bids. But I just don't want it to be approved and then nothing get done. So we sort of need an action item, I think, that goes along with the approval of the funding. that would be part of the motion. That way we can follow up on it a little bit better. Any thoughts on this?
Is Cal not pursuing that anymore for us? Or?
Well, my thinking would be to get back in touch with Cal and see if North Star is even, no, North Star, Cornerstone
Oh, Cornerstone.
is even interested in bidding on the project, or what kind of a quote they could give us.
That sounds good.
Does that sound good? Okay. Do you want me to do that? I haven't been in touch with Cal for a while, but that'd be a good excuse to. Okay, so I guess, yeah. Move that we contact Cal Zooks regarding an estimate for floor renovation. Sanctuary at St. Barnabas.
Sorry, are you moving that?
I'm phrasing that as a motion. Somebody else can actually make the motion. Okay. You have a seconder on that? Yeah, I saw it. Any questions? We're such a compliant bunch this evening. We're just motoring through motions here. I guess.
No, I think it's good. If that doesn't work, like maybe with Reinhardt, the other person in contact.
Yeah.
Who?
Luke Reinhardt?
Oh, Luke Reinhardt.
Rocking something, construction, whatever.
Okay.
Local.
That's right.
Mhm.
All in favor? All right. This is a 6.7 is comes as a recommendation from the canons themselves, from the canon, the diocesan canons, that we should have somebody to look over our accounts. I don't know who Cal had do it last year. Yeah.
That's auditing the accounts, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think it's so much of it's not a technical audit, but it's a similar
We have to
thing.
have that done for the library too.
Yeah.
Every year we have to find somebody to do it. So, but it doesn't have to be an accountant, right?
No, I don't think so.
It has to be somebody who knows.
Is there anything in the minutes from?
And that needs to be somebody outside the
That's right.
congregation.
Yeah. Okay.
Might have been before last week.
It could have been,
I don't
Cal
think
Cal
it
would
was-
know
I
who
don't
it
think
is.
it was done in 21.
Okay, so we are due, then we should probably get.
Yeah, Cal had told me it was every other year, but
Okay.
that's not right.
Do you know anyone who might do that kind of service like that, Natalie, that you feel?
No, I don't.
Okay,
I think we might as well just, if the person that was used before is
Yeah.
still willing to do it,
okay.
if they're familiar.
Yeah, well, if I'm talking to Cal already, I can ask him about
I think he may
that.
have told me, I might have it in my notes.
Okay. Well, could I leave that with you then, just to
Sure.
follow up with him?
Yeah.
Okay,
I did find the motion, this was January 2020,
okay,
that we have an external audit of our books every 2 years. No name.
but no name,
Yeah.
okay. All right, so Natalie, if you contact Cal to see who that was, because he seemed pretty happy with the job that
It
she
was
did.
somebody in Freehold.
Yeah, it was somebody local, and they didn't charge us an arm and a leg. So it was kind of nice. Well, we've got two things, and I think one of them, well, we'll talk about Easter Vigil as well. The Clarissa brought up room for children. Do we want to have some discussion on that?
I think Larissa should be here, she's a little more forceful than I am. on
Okay.
these things. But just to put it out there that we used to have a nursery back there with the door closed, so, and when it worked, the service could be heard back there. And now, if you have a crying child, there's really no place you can go hear the service and keep the crying child out of the service as well. So,
Can we get a speaker in there though?
what,
Can we get a speaker in there?
sorry.
Just back
Yeah,
there?
but you can't, there's no way of shutting off the noise of the crying.
Oh, I see, but,
Right.
Yeah.
When we had
oh,
that
you
as-
mean just shutting those doors?
Right,
Yeah, I can't remember, it was like
Yeah,
that.
that used to be
yes, yes.
before we
Sorry.
went into a.
I don't know what all
bathroom.
Larissa's thinking, but she asked me if I would.
But I've
Okay.
just hardly ever heard her cry, so. There's a crying child?
Well, I
Which
started
crying
the first
child?
one, so.
Yeah.
There's nothing, you
If you're
can't
listening
What
online,
if
you
she,
hear
what if we
it
got a
very
laptop?
clearly.
Oh, do you?
You
Oh,
could
okay.
stream it,
Why not just
or a speaker.
You don't hear
Yeah.
anything
speaker?
else.
Yeah, oh, okay.
How would you do a
It's just
speaker?
kind of awkward
How would you do a
to
speaker?
walk with a crying child, I don't know.
Yes.
If they want to go all the way downstairs.
Yeah, I'm not looking for a solution
Yeah,
now, I'm
yeah,
just bringing up.
just-
Yeah.
I know, it's one of the things we knew we were going to lose when we went ahead with
With the
the
washroom.
But at
renovation.
that point, we had
Yeah.
more old people than we had children.
Yes, I
So
know.
we had sort of reversed.
Yeah,
It's also very cold.
that,
Yes,
I know,
I know.
you're,
I know, the
that's
basement is
that's
better in
not,
that
Yeah,
regard.
the
Yeah.
basement is.
We need-
That's why I went down the basement.
If you're gonna build anywhere, you probably need to build out there.
What about in the vestry, you could
That-
close that door?
that to me would be
Still
the,
here.
If we had a little
Easiest.
space set up in the vestry for children, I mean, right now, you know.
But like Michael said, you know, bringing a child all the way up front is a little awkward.
In our church, is it?
yeah,
Never
I don't
used
know
to
if
be.
Clarissa would feel awkward about
Well, I don't know, I mean, what do
Yeah.
I know, I never had
No,
any kids.
no,
I
we are not that, we're not that standoffish about movement and things like that.
Yeah.
I can remember a prior priest celebrating communion with a child clinging to his leg, so I think. we're okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just brought that up.
Yeah.
Clarissa?
We
I think the
could
basement is
easily get a
better.
speaker in the vestry.
yeah, I would think
Yeah.
that would be a
Okay, that
pretty
would work.
easy fix as well.
Yeah.
So I'll suggest to Clarissa
Yeah.
that our preferred option, so to speak, the speaker in the vestry with the cord set up for child play. Okay?
I think having recently had and currently having loud children, I would not feel like the vestry is far enough away from the service.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I would, I would take them outside and down to the basement. I'd rather have a speaker downstairs. And
Okay.
there's so much, like, you can let them run around downstairs, you can't let them run around here, and
Mm.
there's just not enough room.
Yeah,
And there's too many
And there's
chairs to
space
hit your
there.
head on.
yeah.
Already
And you
space
could, it
for
would be
kids.
easier to
Yeah.
set up a
Yeah, and there's already,
more
there's a
child-friendly
chalkboard.
space down
Yeah,
there.
it's already in the
There's already
corner.
a
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, you have a set of stairs and children just love to fall down, so if they were already at the bottom.
It saves so much trouble.
My son was a child, it was kind
You
of
just fall down once.
All right, that gives you something to go back with. Can we just back up a second? Building fund capital projects. I wanted to talk about making sure, getting something on the books for a memorial stained glass window
Yeah.
in honor of
Oh,
Rita Reynolds.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
Was it just the one, or you were talking about two windows?
well, at this point, let's just go ahead with the motion to cost out the one. And then, once we've got a sense of that, then we're ready to have the conversation about where and do we reposition some of the windows that we have. Natalie pointed out to me that her boys love the windows on the war windows at the back. I would sort of say, maybe we could relocate them out of the sanctuary. So that's gonna be
Only for
the, a related but follow-up conversation, because I think if we come up with an agreement on a memorial window, then, and even what that can look like, it might help us better visualize how we'll use it and what we'll do with the other windows.
Yeah, I kind of have been wondering if what we need to do first is figure out what we want, because I think that'll influence how much it'll cost. And so if we could have some kind of committee or discussion, I don't know, to figure out what we want, and then we can approach different state bus
Okay.
leaders
Because I know,
for a price.
yeah, because both you and Nancy have shown an interest in it and have had some contact with artisans.
Right,
Who
it'd just
work-
be nice if it was like a wider, group.
I just feel like I'm sort of sitting in and watching things, you know, like I got too many things in my life to deal with right now.
I don't feel like I can just make a decision.
No, okay. So, put it this way, who would like to work with Nicole on this?
Okay, like, I don't know how much involvement, I have some health things I could update you guys after this meeting about, but yeah, and then you find work and.
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera.
No, it's,
It might be good to consult the roads family too, if we can make it. Like Bill,
Yeah.
for example.
but it would be nice to go to them with something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, who
Yeah,
would
we're the
like
ones
to
that have to
conscript?
look at that window,
I don't know.
not
You're
they.
not sure?
I mean, we could say it's all vestry, or,
Well-
I'm thinking about my
Art
aunt's
historian.
church, and they had a big committee, and it was like this,
No, I
the
don't.
whole congregation had buy-in into what they were designing, and so they were all super excited to see it come to
I
fruition.
like
So-
the idea, I
Is
just
it like
like having,
leadership
I
or
don't like.
whatever?
Yeah, so that's just what I was
I
thinking.
don't want
something
any more
like that.
glass and.
I don't wanna do that.
Will you put them in the vestry?
I can help you to call if you want. I can help you.
Yeah.
Our office is just
That
out
is
the
the
side.
idea.
Throw paper airplanes at each other.
On company time.
Apparently she can hear it even if I just talk really loudly.
Only
little
at
on the
certain
nerve
times,
then.
you're exclaiming.
Like, I don't know if I should say this, but like the conversation we had so far is that there was a picture of St. Barnabas and what he represented.
We had a number of ideas, that
Yeah.
being one of them.
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
Anne needs to
vertical,
be
but-
involved, she's an artist, she'd be able to
Okay.
sketch something up if
Who?
she'd like to be.
You.
You're being lasted into this, I think.
Well, now, I heard that you had a number of ideas.
Kind of, very
But-
preliminary.
Could you send those out to the congregation?
Yeah,
or what?
yeah,
Sure.
send that
Or
out
are
on
they too
email, that'd be
nebulous
good,
to-
yeah.
Okay.
Use it.
I mean,
Anyone has strong
I feel
feelings,
invested
respond.
too.
Yeah, of
So
course.
know that
Yeah.
we're not pushing you out. Somebody just needs to drive the bus.
Okay.
So you're gonna be the bus driver.
Okay.
Okay, we're all gonna be on the bus.
My son is class 4 though.
Hello, honey.
You are driving the stained glass bus.
Ooh, that's scary.
So anyway, look, I mean, good grief, you found that for us, come on.
That's amazing.
The exit sign?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's great.
That's great.
Okay, so if we say Nicole will take the lead with the support of and feedback from vestry and congregation. And she will consult and conscript as she feels the need to do so. Is that-
We're thinking biblical, a biblical image? Or more modern?
options.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would be interested in something a little more contemporary.
Mhm.
It
But
can
not
be biblical,
contemporary like that.
but not traditional.
Yeah.
This is, these
Very,
are,
very Chagall-ish or,
yeah, something like that. See,
It has to be something that fits with these windows, though. It can't be
well, yeah.
so totally
Mhm.
different. It's-
Well, you can do it color-wise. I think if you did it color-wise, and then you still had, if you did two that were consistent with each other.
That's why you're being conscripted.
Yeah. You're the one.
Color wheel into mine.
But a lot of it depends on what we're doing, like which windows we're.
Yeah, exactly.
And I remember when you gave up the Anglican 101, you were saying this is supposed to tell a story
Well,
collectively, right?
I mean, they'll tell some kind of a story, how, it's not like it's gonna be a cathedral
Yeah.
where that was all mapped out ahead of
And
time.
we are,
Yeah.
and we
It's a
are
little bit
literate.
more ad hoc.
We are literate people.
Yeah. One other thing, I mean, if we're thinking
But some of us are
boldly,
not.
and
The
maybe a
younger
little more
generation,
long
that's
term,
true.
is to say, well,
But the goal is
They're,
for them
you know,
to be
what do
literate.
we do with these
Fairly early.
windows
Yes.
is one thing. Do we want to think a little bit more long-term and actually have another window back there?
A rose window.
I don't know if it would be a rose window, but perhaps a
I like-
larger one.
That rose would have to be
right behind
there,
the
not
table.
there,
That opens up
We good
for
enough?
somehow.
in the entrance.
Yeah, I don't think we'd be able to.
No, that
So
goes
in
into
other
the,
words, we
it
might
goes
wanna,
into the
if
west, or
you're
the
thinking, well,
north exit.
If we're thinking long-term and a sense of maybe coherence, we might not be able to do it, that, we're thinking of the memorial window here, but if we can envision it, maybe as part of a larger aesthetic development plan, I think that would be kind of cool.
Well, you'll have plenty of light come morning for sure.
I know,
Once you're there.
I know, I would love to have,
Mhm.
Yeah, be nice.
I'm really, I'm reticent about having a lot of stained glass windows on this side because they get so much direct sunlight and you can see the bend.
Yeah.
This
That's
one's
been,
upward.
that's been caused by
It
that.
actually gets very hot
Yeah,
in the summer.
and because we rely on so much of our natural light from this aspect, if we're gonna have anything that's gonna be somewhat darkened, I would advocate putting it on the north side. But those are just some pragmatic concerns.
But we are open to replacing both of the windows.
We
That's
are.
our goal.
Yeah,
Now, we would move the war windows somewhere.
that's right, we aren't getting rid of them.
Yeah.
And,
It's in that,
FYI,
take them home.
Joan Tulip
Put them in
did
their
pass away,
bedrooms. Yeah.
so I think that.
Yeah, well, like I mentioned, you wouldn't want those ones in the vestry there.
I like the light that we get in the vestry right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
You could actually take them out and hang them on the back wall with a lighting device behind them and they would still be.
Or yeah, in other words, they could service decor without having to
Like
be
the
in
exit
a,
signs, right?
Actual
in a light.
windows.
Yeah, actual,
Mhm.
thank you, actual windows.
Or they could go to the Three Hills Museum,
It's true.
if we didn't want them here, because
Well-
this is a big part of.
It is, I hate to sound, well, I'm gonna sound like an old fogey. It is a very, very Anglican thing to have
Mhm.
war windows
Yeah.
and that sort of thing in the church.
Yeah.
Commemorative.
But they were also a donation, weren't they? So you need to want to keep that memory here.
Yes, they
Yeah.
were Joe's donation.
They were. I like that we prayed for them. Strength and honor just sounds like a kind of an SS. Sort of, it's too close to that. I sort of look at it and go,
It says the
Now,
name
out
of
of
the German
curiosity, I mean, would you dare move this window, let's say, over there? Because that would be a better window, let's say, on the north, if you ever did
Well,
that.
that,
That's a pair of windows, so.
Yeah, that's-
yeah,
that's a balance.
that's,
This is,
I think they fit.
I don't think
Oh,
they're
it's a pair.
both- Yeah, they're
Yeah,
both.
they
they
belong
they are both
together.
ring memorial
okay,
windows.
okay.
Yeah. So, okay, well, we've got a good start on that anyway, and you've got a sense of who you can call on. All right,
some.
Who are you gonna call?
Sure, are we okay with that start?
I think so.
Okay. So we, all that to say is, I don't know if we have anything official on the books as far as a monetary motion, but we could make the memorial window a part of our capital projects for this coming year. So that's the motion I wanted to actually get on the books.
Do you know anything about Joan and what that family may be thinking of? Have you been in touch?
I did the graveside service for them on Thursday. There isn't, I didn't sense a great desire for them to be connected to St. Barnabas or to see that somehow cultivated in any way. They were happy for me to do this, but it was very sort of close ranks family kind of thing.
And nothing in the obit mentioned her involvement at St.
Yeah.
Barnabas.
Yeah, it was a,
Actually, nothing in the eulogy did either.
I know, it was a bit of a
It's really
sad,
Yeah.
very sad graveside service compared to what I think it could have been. So we do have, somebody bring that as a motion for capital fund?
Whatever you
Does
said.
she have the- Do you have the motion right now?
A motion that memorial stained glass window in honor of Rita Reynolds be part of our capital project for this year. And we have a mover and a seconder. So are we all in favor? Okay. Do we want to talk about just Easter Vigil?
Let me just send an email out.
Okay.
Sorry, it's getting a
Yeah.
little late for me. And I'll send an email also. I am not able to keep up the prayer calendar with the other things I do. And so we need someone else to take that on, if possible. And I'll just send an email out about that.
All right.
If people don't mind just putting that off to emails.
Yeah.
Do you want me to just do it?
What?
The prayer calendar.
Prayer calendar. Oh, monthly
Church
calendar.
calendar.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I can't do the prayer calendar.
Okay.
All right, well, a motion to adjourn then. We have come through our business here. There we go, doesn't need a seconder. Thank you all. Great start, not bad. Covered a lot of business.
Thank you, James.
Well, thank you, Natalie. Nicole. Love it.
There's some people.
Do you want to?
Interesting.
Did you get past that test?
I remember studying that. I think it
The
was
one
in-
that was pink.
I think it was in grade 7.
Probably. Yeah. Getting rid of old cheeks.
I've also looked,